Chapter 9, about polynomials, and we're starting that off today. This will be one of the last ones that we're going to be doing for the year. So start off with Chapter 9. Hopefully, this shouldn't be too bad of a chapter. We should probably get through it pretty quickly. So it's kind of like adding like terms, if you want to think about it. I mean, we've done those before, so shouldn't be that bad of a deal. So 9.1, adding and subtracting polynomials. First of all, here's some vocab that we need to know. Monomial. Monomial is basically any term that's by itself. So it does not have to have a letter, as 10 is a monomial. 3x is a monomial. 1/2 ab squared. So it doesn't just have to have one letter, two letters, no letters, whatever it is. Just as long as it's all together, one term, expresses one product, one quantity, however you want to call it. Talks about the degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents. So there aren't any exponents of the variables because there's not any variables. So that is a 0 degree term. There's only one letter, and you remember when you don't see an exponent, you assume it's a 1, so that is a first degree monomial. This one, the a is a 1, the b squared, so it's the sum of those two, so that's a third degree monomial. This one obviously is just a 5 because that's all it has. Okay. Some things that are not monomials, things that are added together, you can't lump those together and say they're a monomial. It cannot have a letter in the denominator. It could have n over 2, that's a monomial. 2 over n, not so much. Cannot have a variable exponent, 4 to the a, not going to work. The variable must have a whole number exponent. So if we have any negative exponents, that's not going to work. And you can't even like take this and make it 1 over x, because remember right here, you cannot have variables in the denominator. So those are some examples of what is not a monomial. Now, polynomial means that you've got multiple monomials added together. And each monomial is called a term. So then you talk about even the degree of a polynomial, the greatest degree of its terms. So just like what we talked before, that you've got x cubed, so that's a third degree term, second degree term, first degree term, 0 degree term because it does not have any exponents. Some other things we need to talk about. Constant terms, which I think we've talked about that before, basically numbers without letters. Coefficients are the numbers that belong with the letters. So -5 is the coefficient of x, +1 is the coefficient of x squared, and then we've got the 2 up here as the coefficient. The leading coefficient is just the one that's in front. It's the one leading. So 2 would be the leading coefficient of that one. Usually, whenever they have a polynomial such as this, they do put them in descending order. Descending order, which means it goes down, right? So x cubed, x squared, x, and then no x. So write 15x minus x cubed. 15x minus x cubed plus 3 in descending order. Descending order. So that would be identify the degree and leading coefficient of the polynomial. So consider the degree of each one. This is first degree, because that would be the variable. Third degree, 0. So if I put this in descending order of the variable, negative x cubed would come first, positive 15x, and a plus 3, because that has no variable at all. So make sure that you do take the signs that go with the numbers, because that is very important. So whenever you have something like this, the leading coefficient is just the one in the front, and all you see is a negative sign. So if you don't see a number, you assume it is a 1, and because it's negative, then the leading coefficient would be a -1. All right, binomials and trinomials. So monomial is just one. Binomial means it's going to have two terms. A trinomial means it's going to have 3 terms, so you just got to use some prefixes there and understand that monomial, mono means 1, binomial like a bicycle, 2 wheels, tricycle, 3 wheels. So monomial, binomial, trinomial, anything more than 3 is just called a polynomial. They don't have things like quadrinomials, pentanomials, anything like that. So anything bigger than 3 is just called a polynomial. So example 2, tell whether the expression is a polynomial. If it is a polynomial, find its degree and classify it by the number of its terms. So first one, it is a polynomial, does not have any letters at all, so it's a 0-degree monomial. This one is, and it is a 2nd-degree trinomial, because there's 3, and it's 2nd degree because the largest exponent, sum of the exponents, is 2. This one is not. If you remember from the first page what was not a monomial, it cannot have a variable exponent. This one also could not have a negative exponent. Okay? This one is, the degree of this term is 4 because we've got a 1 and a 3, so that's a 4th degree term. This is a 4 and a 1, so that's a 5th degree term. So whatever the highest one is, it is a 5th degree binomial, and it's a binomial because there are 2 terms in that polynomial. All right. Example 3, adding polynomials. This is nothing more than adding like terms, things that can be added, should be added. So they talk about a vertical format and a horizontal format. I mean, this to me looks like, I don't know, maybe something back in 5th grade whenever you have to line things up and add them up and down. A lot of times in algebra we do things horizontally. This is how you will see me do it, partially because that's how I learned to do it, but to me that's just the way it makes more sense. But feel free to either add them vertically or horizontally, whichever one you want to do. So in order to add like terms, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So these two both have a variable of x, but you can't add them because this is an x squared and this is just a plain x. So you can only add x squareds to other x squareds. Coefficient there is 1, so 3x squared plus 1x squared, 4x squared. You can add x to another x. Coefficient missing is a 1, 1x plus 4x, 5x. Negative 6 has no variables. It can only be added to other plain numbers that have no variables. Negative 6, make sure the sign goes with it. Negative 6 plus 10 is positive 4. This is a trinomial, and that is your answer. Okay, let's look at some examples down here at the bottom. So write 5y minus 2y squared plus 9 so the exponents decrease from left to right. Get rid of that. Decrease from left to right. Identify the degree and leading coefficient. So decrease from left to right. You need to have a negative 2y squared first, plus 5y because it's a positive 5y, plus 9. That's decreasing order. It is a 2nd degree polynomial, and the leading coefficient, negative 2. Tell whether it is a polynomial, y cubed minus 4y plus 3. It is a polynomial. Find its degree and classify it by the number of its terms. Well, it has 1, 2, 3 terms, so it is a trinomial. And classify it by its degree. So 3rd degree term, 1st degree term, 0 degree term, the biggest is 3, so it is a 3rd degree trinomial. Find the sum. 5x cubed can only go with another x cubed, so that would be 8x cubed. There aren't any other x squareds, so it's just a 4x squared. So that one's done. 4x and a negative 2x would be a positive 2x. And then there aren't any other plain numbers, so that would just be a minus 6. So that is a 3rd degree polynomial. All right, let's move on to the next page. And of course it went way too far. And I still need one back. Come on. Maybe if I talk to it like a puppy. Come on, puppy. Come on, baby. Oh, see? That's all you need. Just got to talk to it like a puppy. All right. Subtracting polynomials. Here's the only thing that's different on this one than adding polynomials. You've got this pesky little minus sign right there. And because you've got that, that is minus not just this part. That is minus everything in here. So if it's minus everything in here, then you have to put it with everything in there. So you need to almost like distribute that negative. So on this you would have 4n squared plus 5 plus 2n squared, if I distribute that negative, minus 2n plus 4. And now I can combine them. 4n squared and 2n squared gives me 6n squared. I've got a negative 2n, and I've got a positive 5 and a positive 4, so that's positive 9. So that would be my answer right there. Same thing with the other one. Make sure that that negative goes to both. So I would have 4x squared and a negative 3x squared. So it'll be a positive 1x squared or just x squared. Negative 3x and a positive x, so it's a negative 2x. And a positive 5 and a positive 8 is a positive 13. And that would be that answer right there. Okay. So adding and subtracting polynomials, subtracting not really any different than the other. And really it's just kind of adding like terms. Make sure to watch out for that negative in the middle. See what you need to do with that, distribute. And other than that, there's just some terminology in here. So monomial, 1 term, binomial, 2 terms, trinomial, 3 terms. Anything bigger than that is just a polynomial. And then don't forget about the leading coefficients and the degrees of the term. Other than that, I think you should be good.